Okay, guys, I think we can start today's topic for the technical session will be a mind map and kickoff meeting through developers perspective. Okay, so I know like everyone knows what mind map is and how the things are happening in SJI. So we'll see how we are doing it, how it can be done, how it can be improved, or what is overall mind map kind of things. I know there are multiple members joined new recently. There are also interns who will be attending over here. So let them have a perspective like how the projects are done, what are the contributions and things which are taken care of. Okay. So going ahead with the thing over here is what is mind map. So when you say anything like let's do a mind map or let's do a meeting, so there will be a question arising in your head like what is mind map? Okay. So when you must have seen like when the project starts, the PM or project management team tells you to go, okay, let's mind map first. Let's see what is all about. Okay. So this is the meeting where you all can share your ideas coming from the brain. It can be like any idea which you are working on. So that is very much important over here. So for example, like when you are having a project, say a React or a Vue.js or anything, so there will be a lot of things in your, there will be questions when you see the requirements from the client. So those will be putting on your paper first and then like scribbling down and that will be discussed further in that meeting. Okay. So this helps the user to understand the concept in breaking down the components. So this image also has like one topic over here, and then it's related to a lot of things like quality, money, time, control, loyalty, anything which arises in your thing. When the requirements are given, you always ask a PM like, okay, how should I estimate the task? So what should I consider? So that all things you now have to put them on the paper, analyze all those things and then come to a mind map session. So where you can go in detail, in deep down and see how you can relate to that project. So this is just a part of introduction how the things are. So when you are doing a mind map, so this will be your applications like first brainstorming, organizing, requirement gathering, discussion making, and planning. So these are the few things which will arise in your mind first like that, and then say like requirements if there are for example if when you are working on a project like Phone Blaster, so the first requirement will be the tech stack what we'll be working on, so how that will be done and the things like that. So you have to put that thing on your paper and then you visit your mind map, so that will give you the idea like how to go in the future prospect, so how you can plan the whole project around. Okay, so this is the main idea over here, like to identify the goals. So what you are gonna do for that project. So yeah, so there will be like, okay, I need to do a payment gateway. So that will be one of your idea. Okay. So how you will be doing it? There are two, three aspects of coming. Like one is the Stripe. One will be like UPS. You need to pay if it is an Indian client or anything. There will be a lot of things. Stripe also coming in. So you have to list down those things. Have one adverse effect, like there will be a plus point of using that. There will be a negative point of using that. Some will give you auto pay. Some will not give you an auto pay. So that also a feature if do the client require. So you can put those things, identify, prepare your notes, and then go ahead in that meeting, and then you need to share those things along. Okay. So that will be your key points or milestones. So yeah, so you have to create that agenda on the brainstorming session, which includes the summary and includes the schedule of the conversations. Okay. So be prepared. Again, I'll say like mind map is PM will tell you like, okay, tomorrow we are having the mind map. They will not tell you, okay, let's do it today or now. Okay, so that you are prepared on that project. First of all, we'll be giving you the estimate task and all those things that you have to review it. So before coming to mind map, you'll have to review everything, keep all the things listed down, and then you join the meeting. Okay. So this will give you an idea like how to go ahead with those areas. Okay, so this is a very key point which I have mentioned. Like we'll be sending it to ahead. We'll be also giving you a doc where you can list down the things like how we do send a doc for the retros when you are doing. retrospective. So you put your points and then you come over here. So similar thing when you're starting everything, a new project, all those points should be listed there, and then you go ahead. And so this is also very important to find out the right team. I can give you a funny example, like currently the World Cup is going on, right? So when you are selecting a team, or uh, you will say like, okay, why is selecting Ashwin, or why is selecting some of the member who is not even fit for that pitch, right? So that question arises. So when you are going in that direction, the right team is very golden. So if the pitch is fast, you won't be playing spinners. You won't be taking four spinners on them. So it's not a point over there. So similar way we have to gather our team. So again, I was giving you an example of the Laravel project, which is on PHP side, Phone Blaster. I cannot take a member who is expert on WordPress, or I cannot take a member who is expert on the front end as well. I need someone who knows PHP. I need someone who knows backend. I need someone who knows how to connect the APIs on that area. Also, like as I have given you an example of the Stripe payment, I cannot take a front end dev or a QA directly and tell him like, okay, I need this Stripe and I need to integrate it. I cannot do that, right? So I need to identify who is good enough to take in that team. So deciding in a project, I'll be having the skill set. So everyone is putting their skill set on the top. So based on that, I know, okay, he has skill set of PHP, which is 10 out of 10. He's good, 5 or 4. He also knows idea on that. But if in that way, I can create a whole team of that project. Okay, so this is a key point when you are starting a project. Again, I'll say like can see Jairaj here, like he had also mentioned, like QAs are not a part of the Mindmap session, but that's completely wrong. I'll say the QA should be a part of Mindmap when you are doing. So this will allow all the members to be on the same page. Questions also, because they will also have a question like, do we need to do a regression testing or smoke testing, or how are we gonna test? Do we need to do multiple Stripe testing on the test accounts, or do we need to do it on the live account? So how the APIs work? So there will be a lot of questions which developers won't be able to answer at that time. So QAs are important in the mind map session. Also, when you are having a project which is going to start, there will be a need of server team. We almost tend to neglect that team in having the mind map, or having them in the beginning of the project. So, for example, like having any WordPress project which has been started, there will be a local setup which is done. So if we are doing the dev setup, a dev site which is created, and then we are testing it out. So for that, server team is required, but that will be a small work, as you know. That is a process which we are having, and then we are later informing the team. But sorry. Okay, I think someone needs to mute. So having them over here will give you a question. So bigger projects, like I know when we had done for Albino setup, we were doing for Vue.js. Okay, so that time we had included our server team, and then we were trying and testing like what servers to be installed on that particular server which we are doing. So Node, React, which version, which phase. So that was really helpful for us in that part, having the server teams included. Because if we include them later, so they will not have any idea what the project is all about. How are we going it? Why we are doing it? So that is very important over here, and that's why you are gathering the right team and right members on the mind map session is needed. So I'll go down. So this is what every member should be participating in. So it's not that you all are here for a mind map and you don't have a question. So you will have an agenda. So how a QA perspective, as QAs are more, they will have a list of questions like, okay, this is the format which I will have to test, or how should I be testing or retesting for that website? Even I can give you a quick input, like when we were doing say Albino's project, the recent one, even QA were a part of that, right? So there was a question over here, like what devices we should test, how many things we should test, because it was like same day I had to give that report, kind of. Okay. So I know like this was very quick. We were not able to do a mind map in that scenario, and that happened. And if we had the mind map done earlier on that project, could have been very benefited for whole thing that this is the list. So now, if anything comes for the further thing, so you have already the list of devices which needs to be tested. So the second set when it came, you had the list out of it, and then when I had a question, okay, do I need to do on version one of iPhone 16 a tab or anything? So that has been documented and listed. So now they know which one to go ahead. So these are the inputs you have to present during the mind map sessions. Okay. There can be also ideas or things where you can bypass some of the areas. So when you are doing a setup for a project and you feel like, okay, this can be skipped and can be done later on to save time, and some other ways we can opt for. So some other APIs we can do, or we can search for some online plugin for example, a WordPress project that we can use, and we can save that time over there, and there will be a plus point having that plugin inside a project. So that inputs are very much important here. This will help us out and encourage the team member to see if there is any alternative solution or in the same direction if we have to go. Okay. So yeah, so this was one. And then it comes to priorities. So you list down all your things over here. So there was a chunk of data earlier where you have presented the ideas for. So now you have to see, create a task for all those small things, break down it in the similar way like how you will be completing it out. So see what is priority. So for example, if you are doing a website, the dashboard, maybe like the main page will be your priority. In that you will have to see like which one will which client has requested for the first thing. So if I can give you the example of Sirius, when we were working with MJ client, so she had told us like a dashboard she will require the last, because she want to get all the APIs and see, show it on the graph things. So for her, the pages were more important. So getting the product listed, product insertion, deletion, and that page was very much important for them to show their stakeholders. So what we had to do over here is like in the mind map, we had identified what would be the first basic scenario, like integrating the APIs for those areas, how to list down the product, how to fetch the product in the product list and show it to them. So that task we had to take first, rather than taking the whole dashboard in the first place. So we can identify the priorities over here. Then we can see how much time it will take, allocate it out, and see how many things can be done simultaneously. Because if you start with one of the pages, that other things can be on hold. So this is the place where you identify and initiate the work. So this will give you a proper timeline, a proper thing like when you can take. So if you can see on the image also like 3 day, pre-1, pre-week, so that will be like a same Gantt chart which will be taking from your backlogs to your sprint 1, sprint 2, and the going ahead. So there you can prioritize all the things and start working. So this will be your initial phase where you can start. You now have the full plan to go and initiate the work. This was one of the things which is coming in. So I'll just quickly go through the benefits of mind map. So if you say like memorization, if I do a mind map now on this any of the projects and the team members are already over here, and we are also recording the mind maps when any team member is not there, we are not trying to push it to the next day, or we try doing having all the members over here in the same meeting room and have this conversation, because like you all know what we had discussed. Okay, if even we give you one more intern or any member next to you, and you can train him out on the same direction, because you are already a part of it and you know in and out of the project. So if I exclude one of the member and then I tell them like, okay, this is the task which I need to do, Are you able to do that in the same way? You'll be asking me questions like, okay, what should I do? Or you'll be asking some of the members, so what is the having here? It will be, you will be, it will be very quick for everyone to recall. Even if the client says, okay, this thing is not working, fine. So you now know like, okay, this we had planned in one direction and it was never planned like that. It was discussed during the mind map. So now you know like, okay, this was the scenario and you can directly respond to any of the members. So yeah, so association is the same thing that every detail should be connected and you can draw branches in the mind map now. So what one, if you say like login functionality, when that thing arises, you know like the password verification is required, the password change is required or any all those things. So that functionality will directly come here and you can relate to those. Okay, then you can implement in that direction. So that also is part benefit over here when you can discuss new things. So here, as we discussed, like you can also tackle the complex issues, or you can break down to a smaller part. So when you say like, okay, when I need to do a login functionality, it can be done within a day, kind of thing. When you have already have the template, okay, so that is a very smaller thing that you can take it on the first side. But when it happens, like you need to display some of the products, like a sold product, when we were doing for the serious project, we had to display the whole price list, the sales product when the return came in. Okay, so it was a chunk of data which we had to display at the time. So we had to break those things down. As this was a complex API which we had to list down, so we had to store each and every data in a separate chart. So we had broken those things down and we had identified like, okay, we'll only show one chart first, then we'll integrate another one, and then we'll see like what is the average out of it. So if you try to do it all together, it could have been be a very long and challenging thing that it may not be finished. But when you break it into milestones and see the complexity, you can directly identify, okay, this I'll be showing, at least one part will be done. So again, having mind map is like it will boost your creativity. So it's when I am talking or I'm telling anything, it will be from my side only. But when two or five minds talk each every time, then it will be a difficult scenario. You'll be giving me an option which I might even not thought of. Okay, so that can also be a new creative things which you can speak and offer during this meeting. Okay, so I think as a designer over here, he will be having a different perspective when we are doing a development phase. Okay, so he will be telling, okay, when you are why you are doing this, this is an old trend, this is something new. Why can't we try a transparent background and we can see like how we can do this? Okay, so that developer will say, okay, that is complex, but this is something new and trending, and we can implement that. So that's a new creativity idea which you are getting in the mindmap. So I'll also not say like in the mind map the designers are not needed, but when the project is from scratch, their opinion also matters over here. So each member is very important. Yeah. So this is like when you go deep down or diving in the project. Okay, so this meeting is where you ask a question which is not even valid. Okay, so you throw those things. So this is what you can go ahead, then identify the task which is crucial, and then you break those things down, and then you try to achieve everything in a whole together way. So if you miss this mind map or things, you won't be even able to dig those things. Then when the project is starting and you are having that question, okay, how are we gonna integrate a Stripe account, or what is the way, that time it's too late because you will be doing an R&D on that, or you'll be taking help. You'll be reaching out to other members and say like, okay, I need to do this. So you will also have to come here and check all those things. But when you have this question in mind and have this discussion earlier, so then we have an option over here that we can give you a help. We can take a help from the senior resource or a TL. Or if there is any scenario which we cannot do, we can ask the client to get us the credentials, or this is not possible, can we use the alternative way? Okay, so that is the concept which where we want to go ahead of the time rather than on the project, on the go. Okay. So yeah, so after keeping all these things, you come to an end kind of as a summary, like okay, this I'm gonna do, this task will be done. Your sprint one is been planned, and everything is been kind of from your side it's been done. Now you are ready to start the project. Okay, so when you are starting the project is important. So once the mind map is done, we'll be putting all those things in the list on the paper, on the active collab task have been created, kind of. But we have to tell the client, okay? So same thing after your mind map will be including the client on the call. The whole team will be present to give confidence to the client, like this is my team will be working on your project, and uh, telling him down your whole timeline, how you have broken the task. Also, the main important thing over here is like if you have any queries, uh, positive points or negative points. So like then you tell the client, okay. So I can also give you an example of email templates which we were also doing right now. So earlier, having an email template is like 1 day or 2 days of work. Then when we used to do a mind map in the setting page, we had listed down what is required, like the dark mode or the responsiveness or anything else. Okay, so depending on the platform. So when we have the mind map and that is requested, any new request comes in, you know, like okay, these are the few points where that can break. So in the mobile iPhone 5s, some of the things will break. So you know, Outlook there won't be a CTA with a round corner, so you know that is gonna breaking. So how will you tell that client? So this is the right medium where you start a project. You tell the client like, okay, these are the drawbacks of having a curve CTA button. There will be a square CTA button. Do you need anything else? Can we use an image alternative source? If the client says yes, go ahead with that. You now have the answer rather than waiting, doing something, giving it to client and getting a feedback that this is breaking. So this is the part where you have to clear everything, your doubts, and go ahead. Okay, here also you can say like, okay, I'm doing the product page first, but client says, okay, I need a dashboard first over there. Then you know like what is your priority. You know what needs to be taken first. Okay, rather than giving the wrong thing, get the input from the clients itself and make them on the same page.